we are going to have the recap on what we have studied in our previous class. Okay, so let me start the screen sharing.
Yes.
There are key differences in direct
Yes.
and indirect speech sentences.
Okay, differences in direct and indirect speech. Please write down what all things we have studied in the previous class. Number one, differences in direct and indirect speech. Okay, there are key differences in direct and indirect speech sentences. Dear children, remember whenever you want to speak, only then you unmute your microphone. Otherwise, keep your microphone muted always in order to get the voice clearly for other students. Okay.
Yes.
നിങ്ങളുടെ മൈക്രോഫോൺ ആവശ്യമുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രം അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്താൽ മതി. നിങ്ങൾക്കിപ്പം മ്യൂട്ടഡ് ആണ്, പക്ഷെ ചിലർ മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ സൗണ്ട് ഡിസ്റ്റർബൻസ് മറ്റുള്ളവർക്ക് കിട്ടാതിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് നമ്മൾ മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് കണ്ടിന്യൂ. We have studied in our previous class the main differences between direct and indirect speech. Okay, the second point what we have studied in the last class. Let us see the second point. Okay.
There are changes in the tense, pronouns, time, place, and position words when we change a sentence from direct speech to indirect speech.
Okay, please write down this changes in tense, pronouns, time, place, and position words when we change a sentence from direct to indirect speech. What it is said here, when it is a reported case, that means reported speech from the direct speech, there will be changes, there are changes in tense, pronouns, time, place, and position words. This is the most important thing that we have studied in the last class. The second point that we have studied in the last class, in the previous class. Okay, did you write down what are the changes in tenses? Changes are in tenses, pronouns, time, place, and position words. Did you write down? Anashra Siti, did you write? Right? Okay. The third point we
When
have
we
studied
convert a
in
sentence
the...
from direct speech to indirect speech, the changes in the tense of the verb depend on the reporting verb.
Okay. When we convert a sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, the changes in tense of the verb depend on the reporting verb. Did you understand what it is meant here? When we convert, that means when we make an indirect speech from a direct speech, that means converting a sentence from direct to indirect speech, the changes in the tense of the verb depend on the reporting verb. Okay, changes in the tense of the verb is dependent on the reporting verb. Okay, ask me. ചോദിച്ചോളൂ.
ഇങ്ങനെ തന്നെ എഴുതാനാ?
ഇങ്ങനെ തന്നെ എഴുതാനാണ്, ഇങ്ങനെ എഴുതാം. അതല്ലെങ്കിൽ what you can write down differences in direct and indirect speeches. We have heading മാത്രം എഴുതിയാലും മതി. There are key difference എന്നുള്ളതിൽ differences in direct and indirect speech sentences. Number one, and then changes in tense, pronouns, time, place, and position words. When we convert a sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, the changes in the tense of the verb. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ എഴുതേണ്ടത് എന്താണ്? The changes, അവിടെ തൊട്ട് എഴുതിയാലും മതി. The changes in the tense of the verb depend on the reporting verb. So you can understand that the changes reported speechലെ changes എന്തിനെ ഡിപ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കും? അതിന്റെ റിപ്പോർട്ടിംഗ്
Verb.
സ്പീച്ചിലെ സോറി നമ്മുടെ ഇൻഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ചിലെ ചേഞ്ചസ് വരുന്നത് റിപ്പോർട്ടിംഗ് സ്പീച്ച് ഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ചിലെ വെർബിനനുസരിച്ചിരിക്കും. ഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ച് ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് direct and indirect speech. When we want to convert or make an indirect speech from the direct speech, direct സ്പീച്ചിലുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യം ഇൻഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ചിലേക്ക് മാറ്റുമ്പോൾ അതിലെ ഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ചിൻ്റെ ഉള്ള വെർബിനനുസരിച്ചിട്ടാണ് ഇൻഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ചിലെ വെർബിന്റെ ഏതാണോ സിമ്പിൾ ടെൻസ് ആണോ സിമ്പിൾ പാസ്റ്റ് ആണോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രസന്റ് ടെൻസ് ആണോ പാസ്റ്റ് ടെൻസ് ആണോ ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ടെൻസ് ആണോ എന്നുള്ളത് ഡിപ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, we can do some more exercises after seeing these important points that we have studied in the previous class. We will do some important exercises. Okay, please wait.
When the reporting verb is in past tense, the verb of the sentence in the indirect speech undergoes changes.
Okay, when the reporting verb is in past tense ലാണെങ്കിൽ the verb of the sentence in the indirect speech undergoes changes. Past tense ലാണെങ്കിൽ reporting verb direct speech past tense ലാണെങ്കിൽ അവിടെയും indirect speechലെ വെർബില് മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടാവും.
When you change a sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, it causes changes in the personal pronouns.
This also we have studied. When we convert a direct speech into an indirect speech, there will be changes in personal pronouns. Personal pronounsilum pronounsilum ഒക്കെ changes വരും. Personal pronouns I, me, ഇതാണ് പേഴ്സണൽ പ്രൊനൗൺസ്. അതില് പ്രൊനൗൺസിലും മാറ്റം വരും. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ എന്താ എഴുതേണ്ടത് ഇവിടെ? ചേഞ്ച് ഇൻ പ്രൊനൗൺസ്. ഓക്കെ, ലെറ്റ് us do some activity. Okay, we can do some. You know what is a pronoun?
When you change a sentence in direct speech to indirect speech, the personal pronouns also change.
Personal pronouns, the pronoun which is used for the person or instead of the personal noun. As we know, the noun pronouns are the nouns used instead of the nouns. So the personal pronouns. Okay, changes.
Look at the following examples to understand
Change
better.
of pronouns.
Janice said, "This car is mine." Janice said that the car was hers.
Okay, here mine is the personal pronoun. Personal pronoun. Instead of I, mine is used here as pronoun in the direct speech, and in the indirect speech this personal pronoun is changed. Mine is changed to hers, or her or hers, both are correct. Okay, this is the direct speech. Janice said this car is mine. Please write down these examples of change of pronouns. Write the heading as change of pronouns. Please write the heading as change of pronouns. And write the example for the direct speech. Direct speech, Janice said, "This car is mine." So, when we make it as reported speech, that means indirect speech, Janice said that the car was hers. Instead of the pronoun mine, it is changed to hers. Okay.
George said, "I love pizza." George said that he loved pizza.
Here also, the personal pronoun I, personal noun I changed to pronoun I changed to he. Direct speech, George said, I love pizza. What is that? What is said by George? What is the direct speech? George said, I love pizza. I love pizza is given in the inverted comma because this is directly reported as the direct speech. George said, I love pizza. It's a direct speech. Okay. When it
Yes.
is converted to indirect speech, George said that he loved pizza. The verb love present tense became past tense here as loved. Okay, George said that he loved pizza. Did you write down both the examples? Did you write?
Yes.
And
Yes.
look at some more examples.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Lisa said,
Yes.
You are my new neighbor. Lisa said that I was her new neighbor.
Here, this also you write down direct speech. Lisa said, you are my new neighbor. For direct speech, there will be an inverted sentence. That means a direct speech reporting style with inverted comma. But for indirect speech, there will be no inverted commas and the sentence will be connected with the conjunction that. Lisa said that I was her new neighbor. This is the indirect speech and change of pronouns. Instead of my, I and her is used as pronouns here. This is the change of pronouns happened in this sentence. Okay.
You said you did not wait for my train to arrive. You told me that I hadn't waited for your train to arrive.
Okay, students. Again, the change of pronouns we can see in the direct speech. You said in inverted comma, you did not wait for my train to arrive. Full stop and inverted comma closing. Then in the same sentence in indirect speech, when we convert this direct speech to indirect speech, it will be written like this. You told me that I hadn't waited for your train to arrive. Here, the pronouns used you, my, instead of the pronouns, personal pronouns, your is used. You told me that I hadn't waited for your train to arrive. Your is the personal pronoun here used instead of the pronouns. Okay. So please write down these examples in your notebook.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
You will notice that in these sentences,
Okay.
the change in pronouns follows a different rule. You will see that in the first sentence, the second person personal pronoun, you, has been changed to first person personal pronoun, I. In the second sentence, the first person possessive adjective, my, has been changed to second person possessive adjective, your. These changes are made because in both these sentences, subject in the direct speech and the speaker reporting in the indirect speech are the same. I said, I will come to the movie tomorrow. I said that I would come to the movie the following day. Whereas in the third sentence, first person personal pronoun, I, has not changed in the indirect speech. As here, the indirect speech is reported by the speaker's own words. Let us now do an activity. Let us now refresh our memory about the key differences between direct speech and indirect speech. Direct speech. The quoted words are placed in between the quotation marks. The introducing verb and the quoted words are separated by a comma or a colon. There is no conjunction present. The pronoun of the quoted speech is in first person. Here are the sentences from the activity you have just.
Children, listen carefully. നിങ്ങൾക്ക്, as you are in the class 7, it is very much important. നമുക്കൊരു ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ എഴുതാനും ഒക്കെ ഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ച് ഇൻഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ചും ഒക്കെ എപ്പോഴും നമുക്ക് ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ടി വരും. ഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ച് ഇങ്ങനെയാണ്, ഒരാൾ പറഞ്ഞത് അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അയാളുടെ ഭാഷയിൽ അയാൾ പറഞ്ഞ രീതിയിൽ അതേ വാക്കുകൾ തന്നെ പറയുന്നതാണ് ഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ച്. അത് അർത്ഥം തെറ്റാതെ അയാൾ പറഞ്ഞത് നമ്മുടെ ഭാഷയിൽ മാറ്റി പറയുന്നതാണ് ഇൻഡയറക്റ്റ് സ്പീച്ച്. അർത്ഥം മാറില്ല. See, some examples are here given for direct speech. Direct speechൽ എന്തൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും? The quotations. അവർ പറഞ്ഞത് അങ്ങനെ തന്നെ. Margaret asked, what is the capital of Ireland? അതുപോലെ introducing verb and the quoted words are separated by a comma or a colon. എന്താണ്? മാർഗരറ്റ് ആസ്ക്ഡ്, ഈ വെർബ് കഴിഞ്ഞ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ടോൾഡ് കഴിഞ്ഞ് എങ്ങനെയുള്ള സെഡ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു കോമ ഉണ്ടാവും. There is no conjunction. ഈ സെന്റൻസ് കോമ ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ, പക്ഷെ കൂട്ടി യോജിപ്പിക്കുന്ന കൺജക്റ്റീവ് വേർഡ്സ് ദാറ്റ് അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയുള്ള വേർഡ്സ് ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. ഇതാണ് നമ്മൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ പ്രാവശ്യം പറഞ്ഞത്. നിങ്ങൾക്കിത് കണ്ടാലും കേട്ടാലും തിരിച്ചറിയാനും ഒക്കെ മനസ്സിലാവാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഇത് വീണ്ടും വീണ്ടും ആവർത്തിക്കുന്നത്. സോ ബി കെയർഫുൾ. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയാം, സം ഓഫ് യു know it better, but all of you listen carefully. നമുക്ക് let us
Just
see
completed.
key differences of indirect speechum എന്താണെന്ന് കാണാം. Now we have seen about the differences and examples of direct speech.
Indirect speech.
Let's see the indirect speech.
The reported words are
and
not placed in between the
differences of
quotation
indirect
marks.
speech.
The introducing verb agreement between the speech. Look at the example on the screen. Here, the tense of the verb change. What happens to the or a colon? A subordinating conjunction is used to join the main sentence and the reported speech. The first person pronoun of the quoted speech is changed as per the rules of agreement between the pronoun and the antecedent. Here are the sentences from the activity you have just completed.
See, these are the indirect speech, differences of indirect speeches. That means some specialities. The reported words are not placed in between the quotation. There will be no quotation for indirect speech sentences. And the introducing verb and the reported words are not separated by a comma or colon. There will be no comma or colon between the introducing verb. Andrew said. Then introducing verb. He said. That is the introducing verb. He said. Said is the introducing verb. Told. Okay. Then after this introducing verb, no colon, no conjunction. No colon or comma. A subordinating conjunction is used to join the main sentence and the reported speech. The reported indirect speech ആണെങ്കിലോ ഒരു that ചേർക്കും. That Mark told Mary that. He said that. Okay. In direct speech, there will be no such kind of that, but there will be a colon and a comma after the reporting verb, introducing verb. The first person pronoun of the quoted speech is changed as per the rules of the agreement between the pronoun and the antecedent. Jenny told me that Sandra had read her poem at the party. The principal welcomed the new students in the geography class. The principal welcomed the new students. ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ വരുന്ന പ്രൊനൗൺസും she, her എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നതൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യും. These all things we have studied in the last class. Anyway, just to
is in simple present tense,
and the changes, specialities.
Future tense or present perfect tense, there will be no change in the tense of the verb in
Tense of the reporting verb, simple present tense, simple future, present perfect tense, there will be no change in tenses. Tenses of the verb in indirect speech. The tense of the verb changes to match the tense of the introducing verb. But in the case of simple present tense, simple future tense and present tense, present perfect tense, there will be no change in tenses. Okay?
the indirect speech. Look at the example on the screen. Here, the reporting verb is in simple present tense. So, there is no change in the tense of the verb in the reported speech.
Simple present tense, there will be no change.
So, there is no change.
See, Mary says, I love ice cream. This is in the simple present tense. Upon the Mary says that she, instead of I, the third person singular came as pronoun. She, ആയതുകൊണ്ട് മാത്രമാണ് ഇവിടെ വെർബിന്റെ കൂടെ s വന്നത്. She loves ice cream. Otherwise, no change in the tense. Okay?
Change in the tense of the verb in the reported speech. Look at the example on the screen. Here, the reporting verb is in simple future tense. So, there is no change in the tense of the verb in the reported speech.
And in this simple future tense also, there will be no change in the tense in the reported speech. When we convert a direct speech into indirect speech, there will be no change in the tense of simple future tense also. Okay? And about the present perfect tense also.
In the reported speech sentence undergoes the following changes. When the verb of the direct speech sentence is in simple present tense, it changes to simple past. For example, direct speech, Mary said, I love ice cream. Indirect speech, Mary said that she loved ice cream. When the verb of the sentence in direct speech is in present progressive tense, it changes to past progressive tense. For example, direct speech, Mary said, I'm enjoying ice cream. Indirect speech, Mary said she was enjoying ice cream. When the verb of the sentence in direct speech is in present perfect tense, it changes to past perfect tense. Example, direct speech, Mary said, I have finished my dinner. Indirect speech, Mary said she had finished her dinner. When the verb of the sentence in direct speech is in simple past tense, it changes to past perfect tense. For example, direct speech, Mary said, I enjoyed my dinner. Indirect speech, Mary said that she had enjoyed her dinner. When the sentence in direct speech is in simple present and is used to show universal truth